Podcasts are like the new radio shows, and one of my personal favorites is the Tizzy and Wayne Coffee Show. Tizzy and Wayne report on and interview a variety of indie creators, from musicians to authors to artists. This is the perfect show to listen to when you're sipping your morning coffee. Subscribe to the Tizzy and Wayne Coffee Show, available on all major platforms. A great way for authors to get their work out there for readers is to partner with other writers working to create anthologies for would-be fans to get a little taste of everything. Hi, I'm your host, Garrett K. Jones, and for the third Author Awareness August interview, I'm speaking with Elizabeth Suggs and Jonathan Reddoch of Collective Tales Publishing. Hey, happy Saturday everybody. I hope your weekend is going well. Welcome back for the third interview of this year's marathon. Last week I spoke with Toronto native and multi-genre author Stephanie Ben-Simon about her books and what led to her becoming an author. Now, if you missed last week's interview, you can find that tagged right up here, or you can wait for the Author Awareness August 2021 playlist at the end of the video. As mentioned before, I'm doing two open calls. The first is for all previously interviewed authors, including those interviewed on my podcast, to return to the show and provide their top 10 book recommendations for Season 4. Now, I need lists for November through June. October is already covered, and I'm providing my top 10 recommended audiobooks for Season 4 in July. Now, if you're one of those authors and you're watching this, please contact me through social media. I'm doing a second open call for new authors to sign up for monthly interviews for Season 4. So far, I've had great feedback, and my slate is pretty full through the month of June. July is really the only month open right now. Now, if you're an author who has just recently connected with me on social media, or we've been connected for a while and you're just now getting something put out, I would love to invite you to participate in an interview. And if you've already been on the show before and you have another new project that you'd like to promote, I'd like to invite you for a follow-up. I'm also doing a third open call. This is for my Creators Corner playlist. Over the course of Season 3, I've invited some of my author friends to join me in providing tips for my viewers. But this next season, I'm getting a bit more specific. Season 4 will spend the majority of its run breaking down Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. So just like with the Top 10s videos, if you're a previously interviewed author from Seasons 1 through 3, I'd like to invite you to help me explain and break down each step of Campbell's literary model. Before going any further with the video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon for notifications on new videos. You can select notifications for all videos, or you can select notifications based on your preferences. If you're watching on your phone, be sure to update those settings inside the app itself to get the most out of your viewing experience. I don't often get the opportunity to interview multiple people simultaneously. The last time I did was for the 50th episode milestone featuring my friends and fellow fantasy authors, Karma Marie and John Harrison. Now, if you haven't seen that interview, you can find it right up here in the card that's popping up. This time around, I get to include the interview as part of Author Awareness August. This week's interview is different because while my guests are writers themselves, they also focus a lot on the content publishing side of things. So with that said, let's get into this week's interview. Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Tell me about your work and what you publish.
Hey Garrett, thanks for having us. So we are co-owners of Collective Tales Publishing. It's a publishing house that focuses on anthologies in the speculative fiction genre like dystopian, sci-fi, fantasy, and horror.
Yeah, and we already have out two books, and we have Collective Darkness, which is our bestseller anthology that came out last year. We've got a new anthology book coming out, and it's going to be in a combined version called Deluxe Darkness, which is going to have Collective Darkness, Little Darkness, and the Darkness Between. And then this winter, in December, we have Collective Fantasy coming out, which is going to be an unsavory anthology, so thieves and things like that.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And like kind of personal stuff that we're working on, I like to write, outside of short stories, I write, I'm working on a biography about my grandpa, and I'm also doing a dystopian romance story.
And I have a couple of romance things that are getting published in the League of Utah Writers romance books, and then I have a short story that's I don't know if it's controversial, but it's like a it's fiction, but it's more like a satire that's getting published in Beyond Beehive soon. And then I'm also working on a sci-fi novel that I've been writing for like over a decade. It's like one day it'll be finished.
It will be. Yeah, that'll be a great day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you get into writing? Was this something that you've always wanted to do, or is this a recent passion?
So how did I get into writing? I always find this question kind of funny because I've always been a writer. I mean, when did I learn how to write? When I was in kindergarten or something.
Right.
When I was really young, I would make up little planets and aliens and star systems, and I'd be writing short stories and crazy things. So like always, but I studied editing and literature in college, and I wrote a lot of short stories during that period that almost all got rejected. But it wasn't until recently that I kind of got back into writing again seriously, just because I was so busy with my career and family and everything. But now I'm writing a lot more, and I love it.
Yeah, it's similar with me, where it's like I started writing when I was 5. I remember that like I was in kindergarten and I was drawing this. I have this like weird drawing that I did a few times where it almost looks like a human with like this like shark head, like where it's not fangs or no teeth, but it was just like that pointed structure. And I was like drawing it, and then I was like writing out a sentence. I don't remember what the sentence said. I just remember that moment. I was like, I should do this more. And then like from there I just did all these stories. Like I had one like sparkle teeth, and like because I had my mom when I brushed my
teeth.
Well, it was sparkle teeth. I just didn't know how to spell. So because like my mom would always, after I brushed my teeth, she'd be like, "Oh, you have sparkly teeth." So
oh, that's where you got that from.
Yeah, that's where. And then I like tar the fish. I have all these things. I have an entire box of just stories.
You should publish all the rest of those. Those are really good.
Yeah, because when I was in 5th grade, I wrote my first chapter novel that got, showcased in the library.
Whoa.
It was called in my school library, and it was called The Magic Book. So there was evil and good, and there was some like horrific imagery. Like I was a 5th grader. I watched like a lot of horror shows.
Oh yeah, me too.
So I think I loved it a little bit too much. But anyway, so now and I've just been writing ever since.
My kid she's almost 7, but she writes little books, and she's been doing that for a while.
Yeah.
What she did was she had me write it down before now she's learning how to write, but like she would tell me what to write and I would write it for her, and then she would copy it over with her pencil and do little pictures. So I don't know if she got that just because of me, but she wants to grow up and be a writer like that.
I know, my brother is like, he's a writer too, and I'm like, did you get it from me, or is it just the genes? I don't know. So yeah.
Writing genes.
What are some of your inspirations as writers?
So what are my inspirations as a writer? Honestly, people and my emotions. And when I'm writing poetry, I get a lot of inspiration from just like things that are happening in my life, either from people or just from just experiences. With my stories, it's like my novels, it's similar, but it's more, there's more of a structure. So sometimes I just write because I write every single day. So sometimes it's not necessarily inspiration, because I am one of those writers who's a little obsessive, and I write like it's a job. So sometimes, there is no inspiration in that sense. Like there was inspiration to create the story, but then it's, but definitely humans and emotions for my my poetry.
You're way more disciplined than me. I don't write unless I'm like inspired, like in the shower or driving or something.
Yeah.
But like, I draw a lot of inspiration from other books I read. So if I'm starting to read a book,
that's a thing too.
yeah, I'll get like an idea and I'll run with it and I'll start writing. Or, you know, I read a lot of allusions in my writing, biblical or from other classics and things like that. Or just in life, like we were at a writing retreat and me and some of the other writers, we were on a walk at nighttime and there's like these sheep that were like bleeding. They're like bleating.
I know, they were kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
Actually, just like little monsters who wanted to attack us.
Yeah, and then there was this like little cave that we went and explored.
Oh
and,
yeah,
like,
that was terrifying.
So I wrote this like ridiculous story. It's probably not gonna get published, but it was like inspired by that experience. So I think just the world around me and like old horror movies and just my wild imagination.
Yeah.
What has been the hardest part or the biggest obstacle in the creation of your work?
So what are the biggest challenges? For me, I've got a couple. One is, you know, I have ADD, which makes life kind of difficult sometimes, but it also, I don't know if it feeds my creativity or what, but like sometimes it's hard to focus on things I don't want to do. Like if I'm not inspired in writing, that's a big challenge. It's not a big challenge for everybody, but it's for me. Another thing was I took a long, I don't know if you call it a hiatus, or I just wasn't writing for like 10 years almost because I was so busy with my career and my family, my kids and all that stuff. Luckily, I don't say luckily, but I mean, I got divorced, so I had all this extra time on my hands, and that's when I met Liz and I started getting into writing again and became good friends. We bonded over writing and editing. And then another great thing that happened was COVID. I got laid off of my job. I had this great job with benefits and blah, blah, blah. And I got laid off, and so I had all this extra time, and so we formed, because we were working on Collective Darkness already. It was her brainchild, but you know, she brought me in on it. And we thought, let's just form a company together, and now I spend a lot of time writing, a lot more than I used to anyway.
Yeah, I know, I love it. Cause like you'll send these little like excerpts of like, you're like, I got this thing, you need to read it. And it's like, well, and I'm trying to do that now too. Like I'm trying to, cause like sometimes for me, I get kind of closed off with my writing, and so I'm trying. That's one of my challenges. Is I get. Because I'm fine with critiques, but I don't like that. I mean, no one likes critiques, but it's like, I think automatic, like there's an auto response where I just like, I'm like, oh, people don't want to see this, whatever. So that's one thing I've been trying to get is like, hey, here's something I've done. And you know, it's really weird. Like, I didn't expect so many people to like the poetry that I've shared, but every single person I've showed
so great.
Like, and even my brother too. I showed it to my brother, and he was like, "This is like good." And I'm like, "What? This is weird." You know, so I didn't expect the response. Like, even if they just were like, "Oh, that's nice," you know, but it's more positive than I expected. Also, you know, I also have ADD, and so yes, there are times like I am disciplined because I think I'm slightly obsessive, a little OCD. I don't know.
Slightly?
Just slightly, just a little,
Extremely.
little bit. Yeah, sometimes I can't write. Like, I'll be sitting at my computer, so I am obsessive in the sense that I have to write every single day. I'm not always inspired every single day. Like I mentioned just recently, you know, just barely. And also, it's, you know, you can't force words. Like, those words will be garbage sometimes, but sometimes it's okay to just write through the garbage.
Yeah, so you can edit later. That's something I have a hard time with. If it's not golden, I don't want to write it down. You know,
yeah,
that's what I have.
But at the same time, you should just write it down because it will become golden. Like editing is a beautiful thing. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to have rough words because you're gonna edit it.
If you could give any advice to other would-be authors out there, what would you say to them?
So what advice would I give any other would-be author? So I think it's really important, kind of what we've already mentioned, where it's about just sticking to it, being okay with writing garbage, because you know what, you are your worst critic. Like, and so nothing is going to be perfect in your eyes, or everything is perfect in your, you know, like, at least for me, nothing is perfect, so it has to be edited a million times. But it's okay, because if you never write those words down, you can never make it to that beautiful stage. Like, you just have to do that. So it's about patience, it's about discipline. You do not need to be as intense about your writing as me. But like the idea of making it a habit, if you do it, if it's not every single day, but it's every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for even 15 minutes, that's fine. You know, like, it's okay to just do it a little bit at a time, because doing it a little bit is better than never doing it and being like, well, I wish I would have had some writing done this week. But, you know, you can write a lot in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Especially when you're inspired. So that's my advice.
Yeah, I'm gonna cheat and say two things, but like the first one is that you need to get feedback, and so this is really crucial. I mean, not everyone can afford an editor, but even still, you want to get involved in writing groups and writing community, find other writers. You know, you can have your friends, but that's not the best. I think it's best to have other writers who are going to be objective about it as possible.
And who are in your genre, too.
Yeah,
because it's
true.
fine to do different genres, but if they know, like, certain tropes that need to happen, it's good to know that.
Yeah, so just getting that feedback is really important. It's going to help you as a writer and help you improve your story. The other is just about submitting your work to anthologies, getting short stories out, because that will get you a name, it'll get you a record of publications, so you can say, look at all these things I got published. I think a lot of new writers, they focus on this one novel, and I think that's great, but while you're doing that, you should probably also be submitting short stories to places.
Right.
Flash fiction, even poetry, whatever. So, I have a few things that I've got published, and so I can point to them and say, look, I'm a published author, they paid me money for this. So that's my advice.
Well, and it's good for exercise. Like, even if you never send out those stories, but writing down those short stories gives you that aspect of, you wrote something that has a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, you've accomplished something.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it builds your confidence. I think that's really important for writers.
Exactly.
A big thank you goes out to Jonathan and Elizabeth for their participation in this Author Awareness August interview. Now, if you are interested in following them on social media, all of those connections are linked down below. If you want to get copies of their anthologies, you can find them on Kindle and paperback through Amazon. Hey, you made it all the way to the end, and that is awesome. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because that is how this channel is going to be able to grow its viewership. Remember to sign up as a channel supporter by heading over to patreon.com/GKJ Publishing, where you'll have access to 4 support tiers of $1, $3, $5, and $20. Each tier comes with access to my blooper reel, sweet tier level perks, and special promotions. The first 20 new patrons will receive a unique promo code, which can be redeemed on Audible for a free copy of my audiobook, The Lover, the Fighter, and the Philosopher. Connect with me on Instagram and Twitter at GKJ_publishing. When you hit up the merch store, you can easily rep something by posting a pic to social media of you wearing or holding the item and tagging me with the hashtag 5Kingdoms merch. I'd love to feature one of your pics in a future video. That's it for me. I'll see you guys back here next week for the final Author Awareness August interview featuring award-winning author Jordan P. Barnes. Thanks for watching. The vlog of the 5 Kingdoms is filmed without the use of a live audience at Skyrocket Studios in Hanford, California. We can't do what we do without your help, so please make sure to subscribe by clicking the button that's above my head, and make sure to watch and share the videos over here to my left. Have a great week.